Is up, fantasy people? Welcome to the catch. We have got another mock draft coming up for you. We've got a 12-man league. I am selecting from pick number 11. This is a PPR mock draft as well. So, what most people are looking for. The first mock draft video I did, I selected from pick number 8, which is kind of that sweet spot for a lot of people, kind of a prime drafting selection. I am kind of just going off of what is available from these mock draft rooms. So I did end up with pick 11 here, but a little unorthodox, not exactly a prime position, but in my opinion, a pretty good position to be drafting from, at least at the beginning side of the draft. So, I was thinking about targeting a tight end here and seeing if we could kind of switch things up, but I actually don't think Kelsey is going to slide to pick number 11, so I am just going to stick with my typical strategy. Although, as this draft progresses here, I may switch things up just to kind of see what type of lineup we can end up with. The first draft video, which should be posted by now. I went running back heavy early on, which is what realistically I will be doing. And, when it comes time to draft, which it is the month of August, the official month of fantasy football. So start paying attention, start looking at some of these mock drafts out there. May not be the most accurate source of information, but relatively close to what you're going to see at the end of the month leading into September for the 2021 football season. So we've got 15 seconds, only counting down, almost to 10 seconds here. And, unfortunately, with pick 11, you're kind of in that tier 2 type situation, maybe other than Travis Kelsey, who, once again, I don't think is going to last. I will tell you my number one target here is going to be Aaron Jones. I really like that value at pick 11, but I'm not sure if he's going to last as well. So we've got CMC off the board, no surprise, at number 1, Dalvin Cook at number 2. If you don't know this from watching my past mock draft videos, I don't really start a queue. I don't know if a lot of people start queues earlier or if not, but I don't start one till pretty late, at least round 4, if not later, round 5 or round 6. So looks like the auto drafter got Saquon, or he probably, in a lot of mock drafts, he's not going at that number 5. So Phil looks like he got an auto pick, and then Jonathan Taylor. We've got Zeke off the board, so things are going pretty much by the numbers. Oh, let's see. Oh, see, like I told you, Aaron Jones might not last that long. So I'm going to have an interesting decision to make because I don't think Nick Chubb is going to slide through here. I am probably going to have to switch up my strategy here, which I really don't like. But I might just go with Travis Kelsey and kind of see how things go. But I may also pick one of these receivers, a Tyreek Hill or Stephon Diggs. I think Tyreek Hill is going to go off the board here. So that kind of leaves me with Diggs or Kelsey. And hey, I might just go ahead and snag Kelsey because I don't really think that. Okay, well, we got a dub. But hey, a dub can happen in real life too. So at the running back position, I just don't like Antonio Gibson that much. So I'm going to take, for the sake of this draft, I'm going to take Stephon Diggs because realistically, I don't think Tyreek Hill would have been there, and I want to make this as realistic as possible. Although in real life, I probably would take Tyreek Hill. So, we've solidified the receiver position. Let's see who does. Okay, and I could have picked Kelsey, but realistically, if Diggs and Hill are there, I'm going to pick them over Travis Kelsey and Tyreek Hill. See, this is the fun thing about mock draft. Oh, it's my turn to draft. Holy Toledo, Batman! All right, we're doing it. Well, like I said, I don't think that he would realistically be there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pick Devonte Adams. It's just really going to confuse the rest of the people. I'm just trying to make this realistic, and Tyreek Hill will not fall to 15. I don't think there's a live chat, but people are probably very confused. Okay, so I have not done this in any mock drafts this year. I have not selected receiver early, a tight end early, which I obviously did not need, but I definitely have not selected two receivers early. So if this was a real draft, I would be absolutely panicking. So this is good practice. From here on out, we're going to be drafting a crap ton of running backs because I want my running back position solidified early. That did not happen. We have two stud receivers. I may not even draft another receiver, except for someone very, very late. Realistically, I might not even have the need, to draft another one. We've got two of the best receivers in the league. So this has been an interesting draft. So after I got Diggs, Kelsey went right off the board. And then Mahomes directly after. I bounced back and got Adams. Our guy Napoon got pretty lucky with that Tyreek Hill selection. You see a little bit of run on running backs, a little bit of run on receivers, and now another run on running backs. And now here's the scary thing, right? If you don't get one of those running backs early, and I had the opportunity to select someone, but I've got 11 more picks, and I would love for David Montgomery to fall to me. Let's see with the all everyone. I mean, it's possible, right? We're going to hope for a run on quarterbacks, run on tight ends as well. I'm going to be looking at drafting a tight end late and a quarterback late because we have got to shore up the running back position. So David Montgomery needs to be first on my queue. With this kind of panic situation, I am going to go ahead and start a queue relatively early. I'm not big on Myles Gaskin this year, but he's going to be on my queue. I think Mike Davis is such a good value. I mean, we know he's the number one running back in that offense. So what we're going to be looking for, moving forward is a lot of upside at the running back position. So let's go ahead and give you guys an idea of who's going in this really, really weird draft. So since Tyreek Hill was selected, we've had that little bit of run on running backs and receivers, some big names, Calvin Ridley, DeAndre Hopkins, Edwards-Helaire has been selected, and then some more. I mean, it's just back and forth other than these tight ends and quarterbacks. This looks pretty realistic. Yeah, a lot of good receivers being selected. And, hey, this might actually turn out to be a pretty good roster. I think if we can select David Montgomery, who I don't think we're gonna get. I think he's gonna fall to one of these bots, and that's really gonna upset me because I would actually kind of like this team. My nose is bothering me. Sorry, guys. Okay. Yeah, there he goes. So this is why you have to get a running back early. I mean, this is still good practice, and it proves the point that if you don't get one of those elite guys early, and if you don't get one of those tier two guys, you are probably going to be pretty scared. So looks like we've got an auto pick, so I think J.K. Dobbins is going to go off the board. And just look at the value at receiver at this point. I mean, you still got Mike Evans, Amari Cooper, Robert Woods, Julio Jones, Cooper Kupp, DJ Moore, Adam Thielen, Tyler Lockett. I mean, there's no reason to get a receiver early, but that is where we are at, my fellow friends. So let's see what we've got here. You're just going straight upside at this point. You're going to hope that Miles Sanders and that Fly Eagles Fly offense is about the run game. And I can tell you, I will be targeting Chris Carson next. I like him a lot more than DeAndre Swift, but let's go ahead and see who's going off the board. It's going to be a lot of skill position players and a couple tight ends. And oh wow, he went back to back with the Tampa Bay receivers. That's interesting. Let's go ahead and snag up Carson. So yeah, so now we've got two stud receivers, and I mean, Now, imagine if Chris Carson stays healthy and has his typical production, and imagine if Miles Sanders really turns out to be what some people think he's going to be this year, and then you've got Adams and Diggs. I mean, you're hoping for a lot of upside, right? You're hoping for a lot of things to happen, but stranger things have happened, in terms of fantasy rosters, in terms of the league as well. So, and oh my goodness, there's just so many good wide receivers available. Kyler Murray is still available. We might kind of change this up. I've literally have not practiced this draft strategy at all this year. And it's, I did actually practice it a little bit last year, going double receiver early, but this is a very different year. And I think the running back position is even thinner than it was last year. So at this point, we're going to need all of the upside possible at the running back position. And let's see. So I'm gonna give you guys an idea of who's going off the board. We had those two Tampa Bay Bucks receivers off. Then I took Chris Carson. Mari Cooper, I think, is a pretty good value at 39. Then you've got DeAndre Swift, Robert Woods, Miles Gaskin. So just kind of flopping the receiver and running back position. I don't think Josh Jacobs is gonna fall to me, but I can tell you that if he did, I would be super happy. And we do have James Robinson and Kareem Hunt on the board, two other guys I see as a lot of upside value. But 14 picks until my turn. They could certainly fall. I'll also say if Kyler Murray makes it that far, I'm hands down, or Lamar, I'm hands down drafting one of those guys. But if they don't fall, then I am going to back away from the quarterback position and probably come back to it when we see the Tom Brady, Ryan Tannehill value kind of, be the best value available. So I got my adrenaline pumping. I went into this saying that, pick 11 would be a relatively good pick. But it did not turn out to be that way. I mean, not even Najee Harris was available. Where did he go? Let's see. Oh my gosh, Najee Harris was available. So, never mind. Yeah, realistically, that's probably who I would have picked. I didn't even see him on my board, so that is my mistake. But, regardless, that's still not the best value at the number one running back position. I like him more as a number two. So, little bit of a slip up on my part, but hey, it kind of worked out because now we're in this position of drafting double receiver early and seeing if it can work out. So this is actually relatively exciting for me. And we still got a lot of couple bots in here, but a lot of real people drafting too. So yeah, I am big on Najee Harris. If you have to pick him as your number one running back, Lamar's Jackson just went off the board. But if you have to pick Najee Harris as your number one running back, I do think you will survive. And just imagine, I mean, I probably could have got Kelsey and Najee Harris. That probably would have been a better overall route to go. But here we are. So it looks like you got a lot of good players. So, like I said, at the quarterback position, we've seen Lamar as well as Kyler Murray get drafted. So I'm going to back away. I do like TJ Hawkinson here. I do think he adds some good value, but I'm going to go ahead and keep solidifying the running back position. I do like Kareem Hunt a lot. I know that Nick Chubb was hurt last year, and I don't want to bet on Nick Chubb being hurt as the main value. So I'll tell you that Mike Davis is probably my top guy here, just because we know he's the number one running back of that group of the Atlanta Falcons. So I do like the value there, especially with a relatively weak running back position. So let's see. So TJ Hawkinson is off the board. So I'm going to back away from tight ends as well. And we might see, I do think this is the main run on tight ends you're going to see around round 5 with Mark Andrews, Hawkinson, and Pitts going in some order. So I'll go ahead and snag Mike Davis. Wouldn't have mind Kareem Hunt there. Let's see, I got 2 picks till my turn. Let's see, this guy's making some. This guy might just be the biggest Tampa Bay fan of all time. If he picks Brady, I won't be surprised. But here I'm either going to go with Kareem Hunt. I don't have a problem reaching for Mike Davis because I did really want him. And actually, I was considering taking James Robinson right there. So now that James Robinson is off the board, someone who I think holds some pretty good value there, I'm going to go ahead and take Kareem Hunt and kind of help out this running back position on this roster. So from here on out, we are going straight upside. So Dak Prescott is not going to last. Chase Edmonds not going to last. Russell Wilson. A lot of these guys won't last, but I'm going to go ahead and add them to my roster. I'm going to stay all the way away from that receiver position. I'm going to go ahead and throw A-Rod and Brady on my queue. Let's see, just got picked. The big Dak Prescott, like I said, won't be hanging around that long. And we've got Deontay Johnson off the board. Definitely going to have to eye guys like Kenyon Drake very late. And I would love to get Robert Tonyan on this squad. So let's just kind of watch. We've got 16 picks to till my next turn. Let's see. I'm going to take my cue away for now. Move my face. Let's just kind of see what happens because a lot of good players are going to be selected. This has been a weird draft. This is not what I had in mind at all, but I'm kind of glad it happened, right? Because you never know what's going to happen in a fantasy draft, and you should be prepared from all angles. So I would certainly not be entirely thrilled, but looking back at my roster, it's not a total disappointment. It's not a total lost cause. So if we can solidify a quarterback and a tight end here, I'll be relatively happy. And like I said, I like the value of these guys. Okay, I like the Tannehill Brady kind of level. I don't want to necessarily fall to Stafford or Burrow, but they would be the next guys I'd start targeting. So if we can, go ahead and get a sure quarterback, I'd be happy. And then, I would love, Robert Tanyan's going to be the next guy I start kind of targeting here as Trey Sermon goes off the board after Tyler Higbee. At this point, you're just going to see a blend, right? You're going to see running backs, quarterbacks, receivers, as well as tight ends. You're going to see some people reaching for players that they really like. And unfortunately, since we do have some bots in here, we are probably pretty soon going to see some defenses and kickers. Unfortunately, not the most realistic thing, but there are people in real drafts who do reach early on for a quarter, or excuse me, for a running, or excuse me, for a defense as well as a kicker. So let's see how this unfolds as Justin Herbert is off the board. And honestly, these bots will probably start selecting quarterbacks, which is not going to help our cause. But got another tight end off the board. I want to see this guy's Ronald. This guy is kind of drafting with me. Patrick Mahomes, Godwin and Evans, Ronald Jones, and James Robinson and Kelsey. So he went very early at actually at the tight end position and the quarterback position, then snagged those two receivers back to back. And then, actually this team is a little, relatively pretty monumentally risky at the running back position, but it could work out. And that's definitely an interesting roster. Let's see what we got here. See, I'm getting a little worried that my guy Tanyan's going to get picked, and then I'm going to be, left at kind of dry at the tight end position. Mike Gesicki is going to be the next guy I'd want. Then Logan Thomas, and then after that, I would be scared. Not going to lie, would not be happy. And we've got Jalen Hurts and Zach Moss off the board. So probably my strategy here would, to target would be to target Tanyan pretty heavily, and then go ahead and shore up the quarterback position because there's more to select from there. And Ronald, who's drafting right after me and has those 2 picks in a row, does have Patrick Mahomes, so I'm going to assume he is not going to pick a quarterback for some time. Although you never know, he might want a good backup. So we'll see what happens here. We do have A-Rod on the board and Brady, who I think are both going to have good years, but Aaron Rodgers has a very tough schedule. I am not targeting him in fantasy, but I would pick him if I had to. And you know what? I kind of like Melvin Gordon here. I really do. It's going to make things tough for me, guys. And I don't think I'm going to get the tight end that I want. These bots will really mess you up, man, let me tell you. Let's see. Okay, so I can get I can get Robert Tanyan or I can get Melvin Gordon, but I think, just to go ahead and shore up the position, I'm just going to go ahead and take Tanyan. I think he's going to have a fantastic year. And I just don't want any questions at the tight end position. I want a solid player. So let's see who my guy is selecting. So I think, to be honest, with how weak my running backs are, if Melvin Gordon slips, I'm going to go ahead and take him, and I'm going to see if one of these quarterbacks kind of slips out. But part of me is saying just draft Tannehill, man. Let's see, who did he pick? He picked Juju. Huh. Well, this is interesting. So I'm going to pick Ryan Tannehill. Although I think Brady's just just as good of a selection, and I think that Melvin Gordon would have been an okay pick there as well. But I think there's a little bit more room left in this draft to go ahead and get some running backs with some upside, like a James Conner, who a lot of people probably disagree with, but some other targets like Jamal Williams. We're going to leave Devin Singletary off the board. Then we're going to kind of go. I mean, AB and Michael Thomas were both selected in the last draft I did, and I do think that they're kind of some good late round values in PPR leagues at least. And let's see. So we came out, we solidified the tight end position as well as the quarterback position, and it makes this roster a little bit more complete. And, we've got 2 positions where we don't have to worry at. So after I picked Tanyan, Ronald came out and got Deebo Samuel and Juju Smith-Schuster. Surprised he wasn't going for running backs, but hey, it's his draft, not mine. Now we're starting to see a little bit of run on defense. So that happened at round 8 is when if you're drafting with bots on Yahoo, through Yahoo mock drafts, that is the round you're going to see a run on defenses. Relatively realistic, though. Let's see. Tom Brady's off the board, Jerry Jeudy's off the board, and I've got 14 more selections until I make my own selection. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more players to draft. This has been just a total mess. All right. So Melvin Gordon's still on the board, and I would have a tough time adding David Johnson to my roster, but at this point, looking at the running backs available, realistically, I might just need to draft running backs until this draft ends. So Gus Edwards, AJ Dillon are going to be added to my board. In PPR leagues, I would consider Naheem Hines as well, just with the awful assortment of running backs I've put together here. Then I'm going to add Marlon Mack and James White as some very, very late people to monitor as this mess of a draft continues. Melvin Gordon still on the board, someone I think who has a shot to be that #1 running back on the Broncos team. And even if he's not, I think he's going to have a lot of involvement in that offense as well. Robbie Anderson and Tyler Boyd off the board right after Justin Tucker. So Pretty good receivers right there as well. I'm really big on Robbie Anderson moving into this season. Someone who I think would actually, be a good fit on this roster as a number three and number four. Um, two stud receivers like Stephon Diggs and Devontae Adams, but looks like he is not going to be on this squad. So Tampa Bay defense off the board. It is kind of interesting. It has these bots, wait out instead of just selecting right away. If you draft through NFL fantasy, it has these players just going off, run one right after another. So let's see. Now we've got someone real. We've got Phil drafting. He might come in for one of these players that I want, and he selected Michael Gallup. I think that's a good pick. Indianapolis Colts defense is off the board. I do think they are going to have a great year. 3 picks until my turn. Brandon Cooks, I think, is a really good value at round 9. Houston's going to be awful this year, but someone's going to have to be the number one receiver there, and he is still a very talented player. I think I'm going to get lucky here. May have just jinxed it, but I think these bots are going to go kicker, defense, and well, I wouldn't be surprised if people were passing on Melvin Gordon at this point. So I am going to go ahead and pick him if he's available, and then Kenyon Drake would be my next target as well. So let's see what happens here. I do feel like Ronald is the type of guy who is going to draft players that I want as this mock draft continues. And all right, let's see. So, okay, yeah, like I said, I think a lot of people are passing on Melvin Gordon, so I don't feel too bad about that selection, even though, okay, wait. Okay, he picked TJ Chart. Like I said, my first mock draft video, I always think that the guy I want is getting picked when I'm looking at my next queued player and I see that another team has selected. So let's go ahead and take Kenyon Drake. Let's go ahead and remove my queue and we can look at my full roster. So oddly enough, I actually like this team quite a bit. I am rethinking my entire life. I'm rethinking my entire fantasy football strategy. Don't get me wrong, I'm still going to be going RB early, but I really like how this team turned out. But there's a lot of gambling at that running back position. And I do think we've solidified some other positions, definitely the receiver position. So let's see. 3 more selections, and I can tell you, Mike Gesicki is my top target just to get another sure number one tight end who had a really good year last year. He is the top tight end on the board, so I don't think it's going to happen. But we do need to kind of, we only have 3 selections left, so I can tell you, and I'm just messing up everything here. So I do want to go ahead and try and get one more receiver. If Mike Gesicki is available, I will add him to the roster because I think we ended up with 6 decent running backs. I think there's more value at the tight end position, at the receiver position right now than there is at the running back position. I do think there's some late round receivers who I'd be happy to add on to Devontae Adams and Stephon Diggs. So I'm not as worried about the receiver position. I don't think Kaseki's going to fall, but let's say he does fall, right? I would absolutely select him. So we'll see what happens. I like the sneaky value of Joe Burrow here as we're moving into round 11. I do like the value of Jarvis Landry. I think you've got some relatively safe quarterbacks there with Matt Ryan and Kirk Cousins as well. Kansas City defense is off the board. I think there's some pretty good value in round 10 with James Conner and AJ Dillon, Curtis Samuel, Matt Stafford, Will Fuller, even Cortland Sutton and David Johnson. Like I said, I'm gonna have a tough time adding David Johnson to any of my teams, but he could be a relatively sneaky player this year as well. But that is a very very crowded backfield and on a very very uh, poor roster. So not someone who I see as a lot of value. Yeah, I mean, I would say Mike Gesicki is definitely my top target. 703 receiving yards last year, 6 touchdowns. I did a video on late tier tight ends, which I'll link below as well. And I think Mike Gesicki is going to have a fantastic year. I actually am a big fan of the Dolphins overall. If Tua can put it together, with that offense, then I think that this Oh, wow. I think that this Dolphins team can do a lot this year. It just kind of is dependent on Tua, who, obviously did not play out, well, time will tell, but not as, good as Joe Burrow seemed to look or as Justin Herbert came out. And, anyways, now I'm starting to get a little disappointed because I really wanted Mike Williams late. My guy Phil came out and snagged him, and we just saw my top target, Mike Gesicki, go off the board. So now, I only have 2 picks until I draft, and I kind of have to reevaluate everything. So I would probably pick AB here, considering that this is a PPR league, and all the leagues I play in are at least half PPR. So realistically, AB would be my guy, and then my next target is going to be Michael Thomas, just because I think there is some value there as well, even though he is going to miss the start of the season. Let's see. Yeah, I'm a little disappointed. I'm not going to lie that I didn't get Mike Gesicki. Ronald came out and snagged Singletary. We know that he needs him. I'm going to have to take another look at Ronald's team, man. Yeah, pretty weak at the running back position. All right. Sorry, Ronald. Shout out to Ronald. Thanks for letting us evaluate you as well. So he went and got one of the running backs from that crowded and terrible offense. So I do think that there's a little bit of concern of drafting Michael Thomas, especially with the shaky year he had last year. But I'm going to go ahead and take him just because of the potential. And now we've got 2 receivers who I think are going to pair really well with 2 of the best receivers in the league. So once again, we have got 6 running backs. So I can't even draft another running back under. That's just the way that Yahoo mock drafts work. You can only draft 6 running backs, and I'm going to assume you can only draft 6 receivers as well. So I'm tapped out at running back, and I don't think there's a lot of value at this point at the running back position. I actually like the 3 guys that I have on my queue with Madison, Mack, and White, but not going to be too disappointed if they're not on my squad. So at this point, I am going to just go ahead and check the tight end position. And really, I like Jared Cook super late. And let's just double check. Take my queue off here. So I can only draft 1 more player, right? With that uncertainty of what Antonio Brown's going to do this year, and with the uncertainty of when Michael Thomas is going to play, I'm going to go ahead and select another receiver. I do like Marvin Jones late. I definitely do. But there's a lot of names that I like here. I wish we knew if Cole Beasley was playing or not, because that would probably be who I would go ahead and snag right away. Going to be interesting to see John Brown on that Raiders team this year. I kind of really like Nelson Aguilar this late. I know it's not a lock that he's going to be the #1 receiver there, but I think he definitely has a chance, and I think he's kind of the prime candidate to be the #1 receiver in New England. I think if he can get that chemistry down with Cam or Mac Jones, whoever we see end up playing, I think it'll be Cam to start personally, at least to start the year. It looks like I would have probably considered drafting Baker Mayfield, right? With this next pick, but at this point, I'm not going anywhere near Daniel Jones. No offense to him. We don't know what's up with Carson Wentz. I think he's kind of completely off everyone's draft boards. Big Ben has a super easy schedule going into this year. So I kind of like him as a sneaky, think about all the weapons there. I like a lot of things about Ben Roethlisberger. I know pairing him with Ryan Tannehill might not be the most exciting, fantasy option, but nonetheless, it's a very safe fantasy option. Now we start to look at these four defenses. Uh, I like Miami the most out of all these defenses. So I might see if they kind of slide. And honestly, I would probably consider Tariq Cohen. Oh, it's not going to let me pick another running back, but I would definitely consider Tariq Cohen at this point in the draft as well. So when I'm looking at who I've got on my queue, unfortunately, the value is I'm kind of going based off of who I personally like the most. So I do like Marlon Mack here, and I do actually like Gerald Everett, with the opportunity to be the number one tight end in that Seattle offense. And really, I'm just thinking of how can I ruin Ronald's draft? Just kidding. But so, you know what? I may as well, just pick Mooney here. But I think what I'm going to do is just solidify that quarterback position because I really like Ryan Tannehill, but why not? Why not just go ahead and get a number two and just kind of be done with the skill position for now? Because I think I can get a guy like Aguilar pretty late in this draft and just kind of opt out of the kicker position. And I'm just going to go ahead and take the defense that I like the most, and let's just go ahead and compare, right? They had a lot more points last year than the Denver Broncos, and about 45 more points or so, 40 points or so, more than the New England Patriots. Although I do think Denver, they've done a lot of good things in the draft. I think their secondary is massively improved, and I think that New England is going to have a bounce back year defensively with a lot of their stars, including Dante Hightower coming back. But personally, I'm going to stick with my gut and go with the Miami Dolphins because I do think they hold more value than these receivers. And like I said, I think I can get Alcalor relatively late here. So at this point, we just want to double check and make sure there's nobody left who we like more at that receiver position. And I'll tell you one name that I'm willing to take a chance on is Rashad Bateman. Uh, he absolutely burnt Marlon Humphrey in training camp this week. And I think as the season gets closer, he's going to be someone on that Baltimore Ravens football team who is going to see his value in fantasy continue to rise and rise. So I just want to go ahead and check. Yeah, I've only drafted four receivers, so I should be able to draft another one and forfeit my kicker. And honestly, I'm looking at Bateman, and I kind of like him as a sneaky value in comparison to Nelson Aguilar. But I don't think you're going to go wrong with either pick. I do like Russell Gage very late here. Let's go ahead and just switch to the receiver position. I like Tim Patrick here. Yeah, you've got some pretty good value here, which is kind of the main point, right? You really don't need to panic at receiver like I did in this mock draft. And you know what? So we know we're going to, after these bots and Phil make their selection. Shout out to Phil for sticking it out with me, man. But we know we're going to select a receiver. So let's just go over this team real quick, right? We've got who I think is a great starting quarterback to have on your roster this year, and Ryan Tannehill. We've got two stud receivers, barring any injury. They are going to play every week, and they might give you 30 points every week. Probably not, but at least in that 18 to 30 point range, right? Two of the best receivers in the league. And then at the running back position, it's a toss up. I've got Miles Sanders, Chris Carson, Mike Davis, Kareem Hunt, Melvin Gordon, Kenyon Drake on the bench as well. That's actually not the worst running back group I have ever seen. And I think that Robert Tanya is going to have a great year. I'm very, very big on Robert Tanya. That might be just my personal view, but I'm happy with him at that number one tight end spot. Don't forget, he tied Travis Kelce for the most receiving touchdowns by a tight end last year. And Aaron Rodgers is back on this team. They're in this last dance together. So I'm super happy with that selection. And then we've got some good value at receiver. We are going to snag another one and two picks. So Michael Thomas, I think, is the bigger question mark for me, just because we don't know when he's going to be back from his injury and all that, and his surgery as well. We know that Sean Payton might be a little unhappy with him, and we don't know exactly what's going to happen, right? I think in PPR leagues, AB is a great value, and I think with the confidence I have in those first two receivers. So let's see. I'm going to take a swing. I'm just going to take Bateman, but we're going to note that Moody and Aguilar were available as well, right? Anyways, I do think as the season gets closer, that Bateman will be going a little bit sooner, probably closer to where Mooney's going. Maybe 10 to 20 picks sooner. So if not a lot more, right? If his training camp keeps going the way it's been going. So and we went back, and I just didn't see a lot of great value, and I just went ahead and snagged a second quarterback, which is something I don't do a lot. But let's say, Ryan Tannehill is not, starting the season off like we want to. At least we have another selection. And Ben Roethlisberger has the fourth easiest schedule on average for quarterbacks this year. So I really like his value really late, and kind of him as a second quarterback on a team. So I'm not completely disappointed with that pick. Then we went ahead and reached for a defense that I personally am very big on moving into this year, someone who helped me get into the fantasy playoffs last year in the Miami Dolphins defense. So I am pretty happy with this team overall. Actually, I'm relatively surprised. Not my typical draft strategy. Did not get a running back early. Kind of screwed up with the Najee Harris mispick there. But overall, I think this was a pretty good draft. It was pretty realistic towards the beginning, with barring that weird. I don't even know what receiver that was. Jalen Tarden. I think this guy just picked him and opted out, looking on average at pick 2173. So definitely not going to happen. I did forfeit that Tyreek Hill pick for Stephon Diggs to try and make it more realistic, at least for my draft board. But Tyreek Hill ended up getting passed on. So realistically, we also could have picked, like a Travis Kelce and a Najee Harris to start off this roster, which would have been really interesting as well. But I'm glad that we went receiver heavy, because I haven't done that at all this year. And I think it's good, because it's kind of one of the strategies that we're not seeing a lot of people focus on. So, hey, you might end up, if you like these guys, Miles Sanders, Chris Carson, Mike Davis, if you think they're a pretty good number one running back value, then I think this is a damn good fantasy roster. So, like I said, not my favorite, but hey, we got through it. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you did enjoy this, if this was helpful to you in any way whatsoever, please don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel for more mock drafts, more fantasy content, as well as our official The Catch podcast, all in the future. Lots and lots of content coming. So thanks for joining me, my fellow fantasy football people. We are out. Goodbye.